We need to talk about real estate, and I'm somewhat concerned about the real estate markets in certain cities like San Francisco, New York, and Chicago. KB Home just released its Q4 earnings report on last Wednesday, and they saw a 68% cancellation rate on new construction projects, and their cancellation rate is usually between 10 and 20%, according to the Yahoo Finance article. The high cancellation rate is largely due to the rising mortgage rates, which would make anyone think twice about taking out a 6 or 7% interest rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage. Take a look at another article here about the increase in the eviction rate. The Las Vegas Justice Court is on track to hear over 45,000 eviction cases in 2022 alone, as compared to earlier years when the average was 30,000 cases. Phoenix reported that 6,685 eviction cases were filed, which marked the highest number since 2008, and this is extremely alarming. And take a look at this CNBC article that 15% of American households, or 6 million people, are behind on rent in Q4 of 2022. South Dakota, Alabama, and New Jersey renters are struggling the most with payments, according to the U.S. Census Bureau data. The other 7 states with the most renters behind on payments are South Carolina, Connecticut, Delaware, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and New York. And depending on which real estate market you're paying attention to, several markets are seeing rental prices decline year over year. High inflation was one of the leading causes of increased rental prices, so that landlords could make a profit from their rental properties. But if renters can't afford the rent, the landlords might not have a choice but to continue to decrease their rent prices, right? And the Bureau of Economic Analysis is reporting that Americans are saving money at nearly an all-time low at 2.4% in November. We'll get the December data in a few days on January 27. So if you ever hear someone say that the overall economy is improving, I'm just not seeing that right now. With the increase in eviction rate and how many people are falling behind on their rent, this is also going to affect real estate investors because they're counting on their tenants to make their mortgage payments. When people are behind on rent, there's a higher chance of these properties being foreclosed in the future if landlords fail to make their mortgage payments. This is the classic domino effect that we once saw in 2008 and 2009. The home builders like KB Home, Pulte, and Toll Brothers will continue to struggle to find buyers in the current market condition. The increase in interest rates will continue to be a disruption in the housing market in 2023 and possibly going into 2024. If these home builders slow their construction to build new homes, we're gonna see a decline in inventory, which will make the home prices go up slightly, but I'm guessing it's probably temporary. But I'm afraid that we're gonna see an increase in unemployment and a decline in GDP because the housing market accounts for about 17 or 18% of GDP. So the worst case scenario is we're gonna see a slowdown in home construction, which will decrease the inventory of homes and drive the market prices up while interest rates continue to increase to 8 or even 9%. What I think will happen is that home prices will continue to drop as the demand continues to slow in the coming year. And I also believe the rent prices will drop nationally, but it really depends on the market you're looking at. Some markets will see an increase and some markets will see a pretty significant decrease. The Federal Reserve is still looking to raise interest rates in 2023, and we'll find out more during the FOMC meeting on January 31st and February 1st. And I'm going to use Las Vegas as an example because that's where I reside. Las Vegas is ranked second among the top 10 real estate markets, cooling the fastest, right behind Seattle. According to Norada Real Estate Investments, the number of houses sold monthly has fallen by about 44%. Let me pull up the Redfin data here. So back in October, I made a video about why I wasn't buying any real estate properties in 2022. The real estate market in Vegas started to cool down in June 2022 when the mortgage rates hit almost 6%. And take a look at the median sale price from June to December. It was $432,000 in June, and now we're looking at $375,000 in December. The median sale price is now at a 52-week low since November 2021, when it was $380,000. Now, take a look at the number of homes sold. It is down almost 60% year over year, with 750 homes sold in the month of December. Just a year ago, in December 2021, over 1,800 homes were sold in Las Vegas. And if you're selling your home right now, the median days on the market have increased from 29 days to 70 days. So it's taken a lot more days for the sellers to get offers from buyers. And I track Zillow and Redfin home prices in Las Vegas and several other cities on a weekly basis. And I talk to several real estate agents in Vegas as well. If you ask me when the peak was, that was probably around April and May of 2022. But if you ask me if we reached the bottom of the housing market, the answer to that is I don't know. With a 30-year fixed mortgage rate at 6.5% at the time I'm recording this video, I'm projecting the median sale price to continue to trend down in 2023 if the mortgage rate consistently stays at 6% or higher. Even if the mortgage rates drop to 5% or 4%, people's savings rate are at an all-time low right now. And I'm just not sure if consumer confidence will remain high or even moderate in the coming year. And I also completely cashed out of REITs in June 2022, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. This is obviously not in any form of financial advice. It's just what I did. For the longest time, I had REITs in my dividend stock portfolio for my early retirement. And I'm quite bearish on REITs and any home builders publicly traded on the stock exchange like KB Home, Toll Brothers, and Pulte. With KB Home recently reporting that they had over 68% cancellation rate, the number is just alarming. And I'm expecting REITs and housing stock prices to drop based on my own analysis. And if you have a different analysis, and I'd love to hear it in the comment section down below. So are we gonna see another 2008 or 2009 housing market crash? From the investor standpoint, and I think we're gonna see more of a slow correction in 2023 and possibly in 2024. But I don't think we're going to see a crash as we saw back in 2008 or 2009. And I think retail sellers and these home builders are going to have a hard time selling their homes if the Fed continues to be hawkish. But on the bright side, this is what a lot of buyers have been waiting for, because in 2020 and 2021, they were priced out while the competition to buy a house was just crazy during those years. So now that the housing markets in Vegas, San Jose, San Francisco, Salt Lake City, and San Diego are changing rapidly in buyers' favor, the sellers are listing their homes on the market for a lot longer than what they did in 2020 and 2021. If you want to buy a house right now, sellers are probably more open to negotiating prices and paying closing costs. You just have more power to negotiate a price with the seller now that the demand has slowed for the last 9 months. However, if you're not ready to buy a house, do not buy a house. And I understand that not everyone's situation is the same. The rental prices in your area might be similar to your mortgage payments, and I totally get that, okay? When you rent, you're not going to be able to enjoy tax deductions, and your rent will likely grow from year to year. And it's frustrating, I get it. Renting in the long term is basically wasting money, but renting in the short term is smart if you don't have the cash flow to make your mortgage payments. You also don't want to move to a new town or city and buy a house right away without researching that area, right? What you don't want to do is buy a house by taking out a mortgage without properly planning for it. I always suggest limiting your mortgage payment to 25% of your monthly income. If you pay more than 25% of your monthly income, then you're gonna have a hard time saving or investing money. It's gonna be mathematically difficult. You also have to understand that your primary home is not an investment until you sell it and make a profit. Contrary to what many people believe, your primary home may be listed as an asset on your net worth statement, but you are essentially taking money out of your own pocket to make payments for your house. Robert Kiyosaki, you guys should know who he is, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, doesn't believe your primary home should be an asset. I don't agree with him in that aspect that your primary home shouldn't be an asset, but I do agree with him that your primary home is not an investment unless you have renters paying for your expenses or when you sell your home for a profit. And if you need help with your personal finances, like creating a budget or savings plan to achieve your financial independence, You can schedule a free one-on-one 20-minute financial coaching session by visiting firesightchat.com/coaching. So am I buying a real estate property in 2023? It's a possibility if the prices continue to drop in the Vegas market. And I've been living in this house for almost 9 years now, and the equity of this home has doubled over those years. Before the mortgage rates went up to 6 or 7% in 2022, and now in 2023, my plan was to sell the house and move into a bigger house with a VA loan, making a 0% down payment. That's one of the perks of the VA loan, if you didn't know. If the 30-year fixed mortgage rate remains at 6% going into 2024 or even 2025, here are some other options that I will consider. Option number 1 is to sell the current house and invest the $200,000 in profit I make in the taxable brokerage account and hopefully make 8% in annual return. When I purchase another house for, let's say, $500,000, I don't make any down payment and just mortgage it for 30 years at a 6% interest rate. My P&I payments will be around $3,000 a month. And if I include the HOA payment, homeowners insurance, and property tax, it's probably going to be around $4,000 a month. And using my own principle with the 25% rule, I need to make sure that I make at least $16,000 a month or $192,000 a year in income to have that mortgage payment at 25% of my income. I'm also going to refinance my mortgage if the rates drop to 5% or 4% to save money on interest. But because the mortgage rate is above the 6% threshold that I set for myself, I'm going to put extra payments towards the principal to save money on interest. Just by making an extra $100 a month towards my mortgage, I could pay off my mortgage debt early by 47 months or 4 years, saving me over $50,000 in interest payments. Option number 2 is to move out of the house and turn it into a rental property. The rental prices in my area are about $2,000 a month. And since my P&I payments are already low, I'm looking at about $15,000, maybe $17,000 a year in net rental income. That's net. This is all a projection I have so far on the year 2023. And I can also count that $15,000 a year towards my financial independence number. And that's always going to go up, right? The house will be paid off by the time I turn 50 years old, which is in about 14 years. So this option would allow me to have a lifetime cash flow if I choose to turn it into a rental property. And option number 3 is to sell the house and use the $200,000 profit towards the new house and get a 30-year fixed mortgage rate of 6%. The mortgage payment will be reduced from $3,000 a month to about $1,800 a month. And if I use the 25% rule, I need to make at least $7,200 a month or $86,000 a year in income. We will have a higher cash flow with a $1,800 mortgage payment, obviously. And you can also get my financial independence resources, including these spreadsheets, for absolutely free by visiting firesightchat.com/contact. You can also check out my Fireside Chat shop to check out the books and equipment I use at firesightchat.com/shopping. So let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on the real estate market. Let me know where you are, what city you reside in. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on home builders like KB Home and Toll Brothers. And if you're looking to buy a home this year, I strongly recommend that you have your debt paid off and have a fully funded emergency fund. The last thing you want to do is overpay for your mortgage while you're still in debt. Trust me, I made this mistake in 2014 when I bought this house when I still had about $60,000 in consumer debt. And if I start seeing good real estate deals in the Las Vegas area, I just might have to make some moves, but we'll see. If you want to know more about how to start investing for your financial independence, be sure to check out these 2 videos. So with that said, I appreciate you watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.